Speaker. Eric Scigliano is a Seattle-based journalist who's written a number of articles on this topic, compelling speaker and author, and he's going to talk some from his perspective. I think I just turned on someone's mic.
That was just a cheat sheet.
Okay, so this is a cheat sheet that you asked for. I turned it on inadvertently. Maybe Eric can rip off this. I have no idea. Maybe Eric, please join me in welcoming Eric Scigliano. Thank you.
Journalism is like legislation or craft cases to reading. It's often trickier than the process.
Make sure you're close to the mic here.
Yes. And particularly mention the challenges of communicating a subject like this to a general audience. How many people here have tried writing for popular media, so-called mainstream media on science? And probably many more will as you continue in science. Writing about science generally isn't getting any easier. Science staffs at newspapers have declined. The space allotted for it has diminished, and it often seems the threshold of attention keeps getting higher. I became aware of ocean acidification in the early mid part of the last decade, and was surprised to discover that most of my educated NPR listening friends had never heard of it. This is big. This is important, and in fact, vitally important. I was at that time writing for several national popular science magazines, trying to interest them in the subject, and some said, well, we already did an article on that. Or we're already thinking about doing something on that. And I think this is a common syndrome when a subject is novel. You do it once, you think it's done. After that, got diverted into working as the only designated news editor, as near as I could tell, at a city lifestyle magazine, Seattle Metropolitan, now Seattle Met, when it started, and actually had a great time writing about politics, the environment, even a short article on neurotoxic pilot planes. And a very short article.
So you can remember it.
Just get a lot of weapons. I bided my time and looking for an opportunity to write about the acidification challenge. And early last year, got the chance, or made the chance. It was on this story, rather obvious title used for a film as well. But in order to see if we can get there. In order to get the story into the magazine, even though I kind of had to foot in the door, I had to present it as not a story about abstract oceanic processes or, worse yet, marine invertebrates, but about a fisherman who was concerned about what he was starting to see, dead coral coming up on his hooks in the North Pacific, and changes in the biota. But for him, of course, this was a matter of speculation. He was not on the front line, but he was the compelling figure that got the story in, and moved from that to talking about people who were on the front line. The Whiskey Creek Oyster Hatchery, Shellfish Hatchery near Tillamook, Oregon, which, along with Taylor and one other hatchery, supplies most of the seed for the West Coast oyster industry. And having seen what they were facing, saw another chance to do that. Finally got that this year for the the National Resource Defense Council's magazine on Earth, or at onearth.org, its website. And even in this case, with what was certainly an interested audience, they wanted stories about people. Fortunately, in this case, there were some engaging people, literally a mom and pop couple, Sue Cutt and Mark Weigard, who operate the hatchery down on Retard State in Oregon, and who, like Taylor, starting in about 2007, got devastating crashes in their oyster seed growth, and bashed around trying to find the cause. Hired a hatchery manager out of Oregon State University, who finally noticed that these crashes coincided with upwellings in the bay. This was after they spent $200,000 on a fancy filtration system to get the Vibrio tuberosity bacteria out of their tubes. They then working with various researchers at Oregon State, Dick Feely, and with the other hatcheries and shellfish growers along the coast, developed a system of, just by the way, those are 2 million oysters. 2 million. About 2 million, yes, about 2 million oyster larvae about to be shipped. They worked with the Oregon State researchers and got some funding from the Pacific Northwest Shellfish Growers Association, which is considered, by the way, nationally kind of an extraordinary model of cooperation. The farmers put up money for research to find out what was affecting the seed. It didn't wait exclusively for the government to do it. This is what they call the percolator. They monitor, giving real-time information on temperature, salinity, and most important, PCO2 of the water coming into the bay, which was provided by Brookfield and Oregon State University. Close up here, when they tried to take it back for some temporary use, Sue Cudd pled with them not to do it, fearing she would go out of business. Using this and other monitoring techniques, they've learned to time their intakes of water from the bay in order to avoid the upwelled water and also to avoid the acidifying effects of phytoplankton respiration during the day. In other words, get fresh, relatively high carbonic, low PCO2 water, high pH water in the morning on the right days. That means reducing production, tailoring production to the schedule, but it also means getting live oysters. And by contrast, what Bill Taylor mentioned, they learned to draw water at different levels from day to day in order to again to get the least acidic growing conditions. Doing that, they stayed in business, but it's touch and go. Alan Barton, the guy who first recognized this, then decided to go into business for himself and get as far away as he could from old water upwellings full of CO2, and went to a hatchery on North Carolina's Outer Banks, thinking that was as far away from acidification as he could get. Lo and behold, started seeing the same problems there, as are a number of other shellfish growers and hatcheries along the East Coast. Natural sets are failing there. The growers are turning more and more to the hatcheries for their seed, and the causes, in this case, are perhaps even more directly anthropogenic, it seems. runoff from agriculture, fertilizer, dogs, and septic tank overflow, all the things that humans do to enrich the waters and cause phytoplankton blooms and acidification. There's a fellow named Mark Green, who I also managed to write about for honor at St. Joseph's College in Standish, Maine, who kind of likes being, I guess, the big fish in a small pond, or the resident oceanographer, but who noticed shellfish effects on the East Coast back in 1992, localized ones. He's been doing work in a little cove just north of Portland, Maine, which you see behind him. Now attempting local mitigation, basically by systematically dispersing ground up oyster shell into the sediments to try to reduce the extremely localized levels of acidification. Growers back there have noticed that they would get sets in on the middens where they've been dumping shells and getting some accidental calcium carbonate dispersion before. Now trying to see if that can work in a more concerted way. Now these stories appealed because they're about people, and also because they had provisional happy endings. People will manage to keep getting oysters at least for a while longer. The danger is that they are somewhat deceptive. It gives that same sense of closure, and I'm not sure how to get around that. But there is certainly a place for much more writing on the subject. There hasn't yet been any convenient truth, and there also is not the sort of organized political opposition